Jonathan Smith with Yakima County Development, or affectionately we call YCDA in Yakima. He is the director and helps guide Yakima as well as this incredible board on new development in Yakima. We're standing outside the brand new Amazon distribution center. Jonathan, thanks so much for coming and talking.
You bet. Yeah, thanks for reaching out.
I think it's so important for the people who live in Yakima or considering to move here to know about the development that's coming, because it's coming. Yeah. And we're doing so much infrastructure, and to the average citizen, they would have no idea. Amazon, my gosh, how did we land that? How did that happen?
So 100,000 square feet, been in the works for probably over 5 years. We worked with Larry Hull, who owns this property. It's Megalodon is the name of the entity that owns the property. They've leased warehouses to Treetop, to Sunripe, to others. And we knew for a long time that this road right behind us here needs to be widened so that this whole area can continue to grow. You can see there's tons of dirt still available, plenty of room to grow, but this road is a pinch point getting trucks in and off. And so since 2017, we've been in communication with the county about, hey, this road's gonna need to be widened, putting together a plan for that. When Amazon got really serious, that helped accelerate that. Hey, there's somebody here who could use this infrastructure right now, let's just get it done.
So it's always a partnership with county, right?
Counties, cities, private businesses, always a partnership with them. And these things take a long time. So there's several other projects throughout the county that you'll see going to construction, regional Beltway, construction down in Sunnyside. By the time you see construction, there's been stuff behind the scenes for 2, 3, 5, sometimes 15 years.
So I've been sitting
to that point.
I've been sitting on this board now, I think we said 14 years, like forever and ever. And it's one of those things, the behind the scenes, people have no idea. There's some projects that are like 14 years in the making. And even saying that, they all have these code names. So it's always like, you know, code applesauce or code, you know, Jersey Shore or some crazy thing, you know. So it was really a big deal that Amazon decided to come here and being able to put together a package saying that we'll make this road work for you and allow for the trucks.
And not just Amazon, but there's lots of space back here.
Right.
Before any of it could grow, a new business could come in. The road has to be widened. Well, any one business, and of course, you know, a business with deep pockets could say, well, I'll just pay for the road, but that's not good business sense. That's like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, just pay for the road for everybody, right? And so we work with the county, with the state, with the cities to help put together the infrastructure so that when a business is ready, it's in place, they're ready to go. So we're doing projects in Yakima, Union Gap, Sunnyside, Granger, Grandview, all over the county. Natchez even, we're doing some work with them up there on some projects to help. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Then there's business development happening all over the place too. You see a lot of the big stuff in the news, like, hey, so-and-so's big giant factory with 500 jobs. Well, we've got a ton of things happening with 30 jobs, 50 jobs, 40 jobs. And you add all those together from here to Sunnyside, Grandview up to Natchez, there's a lot of activity happening. This is just one example.
Yeah, and I like that they're above living wage jobs. Like, these are really good jobs, which means people, if they come here and decide to make Yakima home, they can raise their family here, they can stay here.
Yep.
I want to talk quickly about the Amazon, about how many people will work here?
About 100 people. Starting wage is just over $20 an hour. Like I said, there's plenty of room to grow. Megalodon has big plans to develop this site here and to continue to grow it out. And so there will be other companies that will likely locate here as well. Down in Sunnyside, there's going to be a groundbreaking tomorrow. An industrial park that's probably 10 times this size.
Wow.
And a new business is going in there with 30 jobs at $65,000.
Oh my gosh, excellent. No wonder why the housing is exploding down there. Everyone's been asking about that. When we look at this sort of development and the amount of time that it takes, is the attraction to Yakima our central location? This one, for example, is so close to the highway, so it's easy for someone in terms of distribution. But what are some of the other factors that, when you look at Sunnyside or
geographic location? So Sunnyside's optimal between Tri-Cities, Yakima, so you have two big population centers, but you're far enough away from them that you still have room to do development. So there's like a 400-acre site there. You're not going to find 400 acres.
We don't have that left
around here because it's tied up. But for those bigger projects like a Dairy Gold or someone that needs to have I need a 50-acre site, that's going to work. And the other competitive advantage we have is ag. And so we can be very targeted in the types of businesses and things that we're working with, that we're trying to bring here. What is is our ag community missing that it would be stronger if it was here? We talk with those businesses that are already here, find that out, and then go out and try to add to that.
One of the key things with YCDA is that collaboration, talking with the growers, talking with the distribution, the packaging, all these guys. What do you need? What do you need? And then go out and find those companies. And I think they're really good jobs.
Yeah.
They're stable companies. They have the economy to make the move here. So it's been such a key partnership to bring in that. I wanted to circle back to the Beltway and Union Gap. I think that is one of the most significant improvements going on. Can you speak to that a little bit and how it will affect that area? First of all, as a reference point, Union Gap is sort of where the big mall is and all the box stores and that sort of thing. And it's a quick circular drive, big circular roundabout that will take you to the other side of the valley. So the Beltway location is really the first introduction from the south side of the valley into Yakima as you're coming south to north and then moving to the west. Tell us about, because the Beltway's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
long time
20
coming.
years. Originally, when the project was envisioned, there wasn't even complete interchanges at the south end of the valley. So if you could get off the interstate, but you couldn't get back on, go in certain directions, etc.
And you stopped at a stop sign. There wasn't even a light.
So there's been slow incremental steps to get that fixed, and those have all happened. And what this does is currently you get off the interchange and you just dumped onto like Main Street and Union Gap, and you go right down this 4-lane road with car dealerships on either side. And then to get out even further, you've got to go down a 2-lane road. There's a school on it, etc. Meanwhile, all the land that's available for development is past all that. So this Beltway is going to come in and connect at that interchange and cut directly over to that developable property. So you'll be able to skip all of the residential and high commercial zones,
and all that,
all that kind of stuff.
So it's directly south of that, kind of at the base of the foothill there.
It'll connect right into Long Fiber Road, which is already four lanes. It's made for a lot of traffic. It's all those improvements around where Costco and Winco are. And so you're connecting into infrastructure that's been built out from the north. This is just the missing piece. So it's, say, like 90% complete, and the last step is to just get a bridge up and over the railroad, which runs right through there.
Okay.
So
you have all utility out there?
Water and sewer are in, the road is in, they've got a couple roundabouts. So you could access it from the north and drive down. You just can't get out the other end yet, but that's coming.
And as soon as that happens, and it is really shovel ready because access is done, do we have some companies sort of staring it down and ready to make a move?
So there's always businesses, and we just sent something out today or tomorrow. We're sending something out to announce, hey, here's some more property that's available that are interested in locations like that. If that site would have been where it is today 10 years ago, there would be an AutoZone distribution center there right now. That was the only reason why they didn't locate there was because, well, we can see the vision that you're going to get all this infrastructure here, but it's already in place 90 miles down the road in Pasco, so we're just going to go there where it's a surer bet. And so being able to get sites, have things ready to sell so that our community, when businesses come and look, there's something to say, you can be right here. That's the advantage that we're going for.
I think it's so important for people to understand having shovel ready is so critical, because when these organizations or large corporations want to come in, they make the decision like this. Within a year or two, they're like, identify, let's move. So it's an important part of the process.
And anything that's uncertain just adds risk. And risk is worse than elevated costs even, because you just don't know. So do we know if it will be done in time? Well, they say it will be, but if it's not, what does that mean? And if we pay more, we'll do that so that we can mitigate that. And so most of what we do at the Economic Development Association is try to take out as much of the risk as we can for businesses, or at least help them to be able to quantify it better. So it's not as unknown. You can never get everything down to a science, but we track how many people are working in the valley, what are their wages, what occupations are they in, so you can kind of forecast what your wages are going to be. You don't have to try to guess.
Education levels,
all of that. Properties, what properties are available, what utilities at them, what's an estimated timeline to get them there, those kind of things. All of that's to try to help businesses be more confident in their decision making. Otherwise, there's not enough certainty to make an investment.
Because it's multi-million-dollar projects, right? What is Yakima best suited for in terms of economic development? Commercial economic development.
Distribution, really augmenting on our agriculture, our food processing. I think there's a long way that we can go there. There's a lot of stuff that's grown here and then is sold here, but you'll notice on the package that it went somewhere else and was processed and then came back. And so being able to attract some of that here, and that's happening. Monsanto is going to be opening in Sunnyside.
What do they do?
They're apple processor. So they're applesauce, different kind of apple products, including vinegar, which is a new thing for the valley, the vinegar line. They'll be ramping up their first line lines in 2025, fully built out in 2026, another 150 employees
Oh, excellent.
down there. And again, all of those are $20 plus an hour starting out benefit, good jobs for the area.
Yeah. One thing I think it's interesting for people to understand is that we are the world's largest grower of apples all across the county. As a result of that, there's plenty of waste. Not all the apples are going to be in the grocery store on the shelf. So having these processors is really important. So I love that we're trying to reduce the waste and be able to use it for vinegar, applesauce, the fruit sticks, all that kind of stuff. The other one, can you talk about the manure digester? I think it's the most bizarre concept. People are not going to know. What do you mean manure digester?
And this is by far, I would say, one of the projects that, and it predates any of us who are at YCDA working there now. It predates all the county commissioners who started working, but way back in like 2007, the county YCDA really started to go after and trying to find solutions to dairy waste at the dairy so that industry, again, try to take some of that uncertainty out. And the uncertainty is that the environmental legislation continues to change as more and more new technology becomes available, then there's more requirements that you have to adopt it, but who knows what it's going to cost now, you just know that it's coming. For almost a decade, the YCDA would work with various renewable natural gas. So they would take derouters, set up their own digesters on their own dairies down there, and I think Outlook. We worked with some other companies and then got in touch with Pacific Ag, which does residue, farm residue all around the western United States. So they've got facilities, everywhere west of the Mississippi, So they've done a lot of work with the farmers and the growers here already, because they'll come in and take, after a harvest is done, they'll take the residue and make some value out of it for them. And so what they're going to do is capture up manure from a significant amount of these dairies, bring it to a central location, biodigest it into renewable natural gas, and put it right into the main, you would call it the super freeway for natural gas that runs the Pacific coast.
Wow.
So in addition to the jobs of the people who are going to be working at the refinery, doing the refinement of the gas, there's trucking jobs, then there's 4,000 dairy jobs that's helping to support as well. And so it's solving the challenge of what do you do with the byproduct of drinking milk and having butter and having cheese. And everything else that you get from dairy. There's a byproduct to everything we do. So how do we take that and put it to a better use? And this will help solve that, because the net there becomes carbon zero if you're looking at like green stuff, because you already are making milk, and so you've already got it. You're not adding more. Correct. Now you're able to take that and capture it and burn it in another use. Yeah.
I love it. I like that we're part of the solution, whether it's dairies, fruit, hops. I know we're tapping into that and helping that industry as well. I wanted to ask you about, it's no longer called oyster mushrooms. Windmill Farms, Lower Valley, state-of-the-art mushroom growing facility. These are not the funny mushrooms. These are the ones I put on my salad. Can you talk about that? Was a few years in the making as well, and how many jobs and what that facility is about?
Yeah, so they were originally located and had been there for over 80 years in Lacey, Washington.
80 years.
And the town of Lacey grew up around them. And so when we went and visited them, we'd heard about it through the Department of Commerce. They really wanted to try to find a location outside of the city. The city grew up around them, and now they've got a mushroom facility, compost and all that kind of stuff. And there's a big ball field complex for sports on one side, there's apartments on the other. We were here first, but we get that, there's probably better use for the land now that the city's kind of grown around us. They really wanted to be on the west side of the state, because that was where everybody was from. They weren't able to find anything, and so by the time Joe in our office reached out to the Department of Commerce, having caught wind of it, they were already saying, we're going down into Oregon, we're in Pendleton, Hermiston area, and in fact we pulled up stuff in the newspaper and could see articles where they'd met with city council, so we made a run at it anyways and said, hey, we're going to come out and meet you guys, met with them. Then they came out and toured some land. We were super excited, things were moving along for about 3 months, then it went quiet, and then about 6 months later we got a phone call that said, hey, if we can get this and this done in the next month, they'll locate here.
Oh my gosh.
200 jobs. It is the biggest mushroom farm in the state. They are potentially doubling their capacity out there in the next couple of years.
And it's a low environmental impact too, right? The whole designing
indoors
of it,
So you have workers who are indoors all the time, and it's not your, like the traditional old mushrooms, there's these little things and you got to crouch down and, no, this is like state-of-the-art stuff that moves up and down around you. You stand in one place, the mushrooms come to you, you cut them off. You have these little ramp things that you can walk down. And,
I gotta get a tour.
it's exceptional. And yeah, so there's room to expand and double their footprint there.
It's so fun to share these success stories, you know, and also offer perspective. It takes time. Yakima, we're working on it. We're working on it.
It's happening.
It's happening, and they're good jobs, and hoping that our community can support them as they come into town. So thank you. Thanks for making time. I get super excited, as you know, about development in Yakima because it really helps stabilize our economy, so we don't have to lean in so hard on one industry or the other, and that we can have these distribution warehouses and other really good paying jobs. So it's exciting. Thank you.
There's a lot going on. So in addition to what we just talked about, there's a couple of HVAC electric companies that are really doing some big expansions right now. And they provide services obviously in the local area, but they do stuff all across the state, but they're headquartering here. And so that we're growing more locally to provide more services across the state, which is
fantastic.
Good. There's a couple of there's a project happening just maybe a mile from here where another business is going to have a little road project happen so they can open up. And what is that, like 20,000 square feet of 3 buildings, 18 to 20,000 square feet each. And there's just a lot of these little things happening all over the place. There's a company out in Natchez that's looking to build a second location.
I am so excited about,
for all sorts of.
I'm excited about the Natchez project. It would be great to see that come to that little community and support them and help them grow and survive.
So there's a lot of stuff going on.
I dig it. If people want to learn more, where should they go?
The Yakima County Development Association at chooseyakimavalley.com.
I hope you enjoy another episode of Living in Yakima and learning about Yakima County's development and our very bright future. If you like this content, be sure to hit subscribe, like, and share with your friends.